Hey, I'm Lisa Singer. I am the Senior Editorial Director of Brand Insider, and this is Brand Insider BTS, where I get to pull back the curtain on some of the most influential women marketers today. And with me is Jenny Chen. She is the head of marketing at Wild Fork. Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, Lisa. My pleasure to be here.
Well, I am so happy to have you here. As I found you on LinkedIn and, read what you were posting and about your career and definitely had to have you. So I'm so happy that you were able to do this. So we should just get started. Well, I have to say, as I always say, I do my snooping. And last year, for the second time in a row, you were a mentor for the Effie Academy Boot Camp. So, and that's really about mentoring and helping those, coming up in the ranks. And so I want to ask you, I want to turn it back to you in the sense of who has been an important mentor in your past? What's the most valuable thing that they taught you and really just that you would maybe take that and then try to share it with your mentees?
Yeah, I think, in throughout my career, I was lucky enough to have met a lot of inspiring leaders, that helped me to be who I am today. And I'm very grateful for that. I would say they're not only my mentor, but also my friends. And, for example, one of my very early ex-boss at White and Kennedy, Jason Y, who right now is the MD of White and Kennedy Portland, is a great mentor for me and also a great friend. I was actually just talking to him this week about just catching up and to say hi. And he taught me really doing what you love. I think that's also my mantra for throughout my career is. And also, I also have a very good mentor through the Week Mentor Program a couple of years back. His name is Danny Tu, who used to be the CMO of IMAX. And he is very much a champion for diversity. And one thing that he said is really inspiring me is you belong to the room you are in. So just acting like that. So I think it's very, very always give me a lot of confidence as well as inspirations and setting up as a really good role model for me.
Well, and I think that's such great advice. And obviously, then you are trying to, pay it forward. But how do you, it's wonderful advice. And especially coming from someone in a senior position at the time, before when you weren't, but now you are. But when you think back about when you were starting out,
Mhm.
how did you get that confidence or to, say own the room or to know that you're worth being in the room? That's not always easy to do. Was there things that you sort of how you worked with yourself to kind of make you there?
Yeah, I've been there. It's like, I was born and raised in Shanghai, China. I'm Chinese, and English is not my first language. So, there has been time in the past, when I am in a position I have to present to a group of global senior executives and I have to spend hours in front of the mirror writing down the speaking notes and also was practicing hours and I was nervous. So I've been there. I don't think, you're born, at least for myself, I'm not born with that confidence in me on an early stage of my career. And I would say, what I always believe in is, just keep practicing and I believe you can get there. And also another thing it's very important is you have to look at yourself and know who you are. I think that's really, really important. And I think if you don't have that confidence in yourself and you walk in your room, you already feel you are not as senior or capable as someone else, then you will always be nervous and you always will not get there. And I think that is really, really important. And also some of my mentor and the managers and has also challenged me a lot, right? So they have the confidence and trust in me. So I have to keep practicing, and my boss has been pushing me there. So I think it's kind of a journey. So, but don't lose the confidence in yourself. So that's kind of like I always believe in.
Yeah, well, and believing in yourself, obviously, that's what you're going to project when you walk into the room. But even when you're not necessarily there, I think a key point you just said is that practice.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with you have a meeting, you have things to say, practice what you need to do. And
yeah,
practice, then when you know what you need to say and do, it will come across that way. And there won't be that
yeah.
insecurity of just say winging it. But so I think
Yeah.
that's advice.
Sometimes it's less about your capability. I think it's the mental part. That is like
Mhm.
what do you need to overcome, right? So that is bigger as like what you actually can make it. So that's the part like you just have to keep building up the confidence and practicing over time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, you mentioned that you're from Shanghai, and so and just looking at your background, you have a really diverse cultural background in terms of not only, being from Shanghai, but then also the work you've done and where it's brought you globally. But I want to talk about, so when you were first starting out, you started on the agency side, you crossed over to Adidas, and
Mhm.
now here you are. Talk about when you first were starting out. What were you thinking? Like, was this your goal? Did you have this path in mind? And how did you get here?
Yeah, it's I have to say it's starting off somewhere. I always say that story about myself. Um, every kid when you grown up, you will have a dream. And sometimes you find your dream early. Sometimes you still kind of navigating and trying to define or find your dream along the way. I was lucky enough, and I actually know like where my passion is and what I really want to be doing after I graduate back in high school. Um, it's actually because of I watch a TV show. It's a Chinese version
Okay.
of Mad Men. So I was really just like fascinated by how creative, how cool that environment is. And I'm like, Mom, this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm like, that's when back in high school, I know what I want to do, and I know I don't want to work in advertising back then. So I just have been then I've been studying just in order to get myself into that career. So right before graduate, I find a full-time job and starting my career in advertising, my dream come true. And it has been always kind of my passion because I know I just love to work in a creative environment. I love to be involved in a creative process, and I love to work with creative minded people. So that's what I love to do. Um, yeah, so that's kind of like where my dream starting from, but I'm still pursuing that path until now. So I think I was lucky enough to know what I love to do early on. But it is fine for people if you find your dream later, but just I think you're gonna need to find a goal in your life.
And going back to your first mentor, love what you do. Just
Yeah,
find that. Whether you
exactly.
know it right off the bat, or whether it's something that you keep trying things until you find that passion. But as I mentioned earlier, you have worked globally.
Yep.
So was that intentional, or like in to get to that next point, or because to the level you are now, head of marketing, because you mentioned you don't have the label of CMO, but basically that's what you are. That's something people strive for. Many women, especially just starting out, men just starting out. How did you sort of navigate your path to get to this point?
I think, I kind of feel it's not intentional, but I do think there's part it's intentional. So I think it's a journey of keep doing what I love with the intention to keep learning and keep getting better. So I think, I start from advertising, as mentioned about, I kind of found my grounds when I spent about 5 years in White and Kennedy leading the Nike business in China. That's where I kind of find really, really establish the foundation of advertising, marketing 101, building the brand 101 with the brand, with the agency. At the same time, also finding out my passion points about, loving the intersection of music, fashion, sports, culture, technology, everything around that, right? And then, my next milestone will be after 5 years there, working on the advertising side. I want to see more than advertising as part of marketing. So that's when I move from the agency side to the brand side. So that's the first move with the intention of I want to see more of beyond just marketing, beyond just advertising. And then after that, and along the way, that's the time actually, I'm the generation, maybe I don't want to reveal my age. I'm the generation when I start to see Facebook started, online community started, Instagram on the rise, creator culture, influencers, UGC started, Snapchat started. So that's when I spent a couple of years, no matter on the agency side as well as marketing side, just dive into that. So I did social media, digital marketing. I did media buy, digital media, entertainment marketing, cultural marketing, influencer marketing for a couple of years from Shanghai to London and spent 2 years in Amsterdam. That's all around that kind of time frame about the rise of culture, digital marketing, social media, and influencers. Then I kind of coming back to my roots. I love building a brand. So instead of focusing on the vertical channels, I'm like, I want to go back to brand so that I have a holistic picture of building a brand. So Adidas gave me the opportunity to be taking that role and move from Europe to US. That's going back to, spend a couple of years kind of leading the global brand strategies for Adidas, and kind of help to reset and reconnect the brand with the new generation of athletes for a couple of years, about 8 years there. And then until my, where I am now, that is after 10 years with Adidas, 8 years building a brand, a global brand. And after, long time, almost, 18 years spending in sport, lifestyle industry, I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Let's do something different. I wanted my next challenge. So that's when I take this role of taking the whole responsibilities of everything around marketing, brand to performance, as well as customer experiences under my remit with my current role, and move to a totally different industry, which is food retail. And it's a startup. So I spent a lot of many years in no matter agency side and marketing side with a global brand, it's already well established. So I'm like, it is great if I have an opportunity actually to be able to, on a white paper and be able to put my footprint on it and building something from the ground up. So that's where I'm like, it's a new city, new industry, totally different type of business I'm in. So
Yeah.
that's how it gets me to where I'm today. I have to say I'm super grateful for all the great opportunities along the way. But that's also going back to I'm continue to doing what I love to do, which is be with creative-minded people, be part of a creative process, and be a be working with creative, minded marketers and agencies, but at the same time, to be able to learning and growing along the way.
Yeah. And well, I mean, the big thing I take out of that, which I think is incredible that you did this, is you, as you saw things changing, as you saw, we need to learn digital, we need to know social, we need, like, these are things that is so vital to continue learning. Like
Yep.
every new thing is gonna, now AI, and well, not that that's so new anymore, but, and just as things come up that are new,
Yeah.
not regardless of your age or what
Mhm.
level you're at, you need to keep embracing that and moving forward and learning it if you ever expect to move forward and keep going. So I think that's like the biggest advice I would say that comes out of what you're saying. And
Yeah.
also, and just keep moving where you're excited. As you said, maybe you did enough where you need to move to the next level. And that's what then brought you for something completely different that challenges you. I think it seems like you want that challenge always.
Yeah, and to be honest, like about before I take this role, people ask me if you wanna be a CMO or a head of marketing. I said no, because I never planned to be, and I have little bit hesitation about to be taking that role and responsibility because always we say there's art and science of marketing, and
Yeah.
I'm always on the art side because I'm on the creative side, and I'm like, do I want to be a businesswoman? No. And but I think what gradually changing my mind and also with this new opportunity comes up is I ask myself and I talk to myself as I'm not a business person. I'm still a creative person, but I hate to be the fact that I don't understand business. So this job and the opportunity where I am right now is I still be able to do everything I love to do, but along the way with my job, I'm fortunate enough to learn all the business side with my job, and which
Yeah.
helped me to do a better job to connect the art and science of marketing right now. So I
Hmm.
think that's I feel like, do I plan to be who I am, like where I am now? No, never. But like but it's kind of like you just still going back to do what I love to do and keep learning and growing. That kind of get me to where I am.
That evolution. Well, so I want to get back to, because you sort of touched on it a little bit earlier in terms of, you are someone from a non-English native language. And you talked about in terms of your background and when you were first starting out, practicing in front of the mirror and all of these things. But so someone else starting in that kind of position where their English isn't their native language, but they want to come to get to your level in business. Is there advice you would give that person that in terms of finding that confidence, but also just being able to own the room, as you say, from the beginning?
Yeah, I think it is tough. And I think the like the biggest roadblocks is your mental kind of how you think about yourself. I always think that because because I work with a lot of people from all the different background. I'm very much like gender agnostic and ethnicity or language agnostic now. So you see someone as what's your capabilities are, what your experience are, instead of what gender they are, how they look, how they speak, do they have an accent? Um, and but for people who maybe just starting off, and very often from the background from where I come from, very often is unconsciously you walk into a room and you sit on the table with everyone speaking fluent English, you will feel like my English is not good enough. I should like just keep silence. Or you have to working on your mental side for like 10 minutes and you cannot have like a one sentence coming out and everyone already speaking and moving to the next topic. I've been there. But I think I would say just first still changing that mental part is really, really important. There's so many people in, people could be coming from Germany, coming from France, and all the different countries. Their first language is not English neither. So it's not about do you have an accent about how you talk. And that confidence will give you the opportunity to express. It's more about what do you think, what's your point of view, and do you have a point? So I'm not saying it's an easy part, but it's really working on that with yourself and also push yourself a little bit more. Maybe walking into one meeting, making sure I be part of one conversation, one topic, and next time and tell yourself and be two. So I think that's also really important, and also to do up with you, and getting some feedback and how can I do better, and then you're getting to more natural confidence. That's where it will start to see the difference. Then your nervousness gonna be gone. So you have to keep
Right.
trying.
Well, I love that the baby steps, and just and having the confidence to, voice your opinion, but
Mhm.
maybe do it in steps, a little bit at a time because you want to have when you do it, when you do it well, then that's going to give you
Mhm.
the confidence the next time to do even more of it. So I think that that's a
Yeah.
great way to do it rather than just diving in. Although sometimes people dive in and that's the best thing they could do. So there's no right or wrong, but I think that's great advice. And obviously it's worked for you. So uh, I'm curious, has there been, you talked a lot about your career and moving through the different ranks, but have you had a failure that you learned from and that it brought you or redirected you to a more positive place?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a failure, but I definitely learned something from it. So when I actually moved from Shanghai and to Europe, um, so I actually take a role in an agency. I basically go from the marketing side back to the agency side because a lot of people, I think, ask me, oh, you work in the marketing side. Do you ever want to go back to the agency side? Yes. Um, and because going back, I still just love to work with people who is creative. But that experience, what taught me is it's you also need to be there's a lot of different type of agency and the culture are different. I come from a background, I'm very much starting and building my like kind of everything, how I look at marketing and how I work from a creative background. Everything is about the work. If you deliver strong work, that's the most important part. And but there's also some environment, it could be more business and more sales. So I don't think that is actually fits for what I'm passionate about, because always when you put the two things side by side, always for me is the creative and always is the work. Nothing right or wrong. It's just a different kind of type of environment. I think I'm thriving more in a creative environment. So that's kind of what I learned. Next time people ask me, would you ever go back to the agency side? I will say absolutely, but it depends on what type of environment that is, what type of agency culture that is. So that's kind of what I learned from it. And also validating, I, like what I actually, what my mantra is, do what you love. So that's like, I know that type of environment make me thrive.
Yeah. No, and it's, I mean, if it's not something that's going to a place where you, as you say, will thrive or enjoy or just be able to be excited about, then I think that's going to affect your work anyway. It does. You don't want to be bored. You don't want to be discouraged or any of those things. So that makes sense. So, all right. Well, I have to go back to my snooping. And I know that you wrote in an article when you were talking about Wild Fork, and as you talked about, you're building it from the bottom up, which you're taking ownership. And part of what you said was the platform was your North Star for everything else that you're doing. Okay, so that's great for Wild Fork, but I want to go for Jenny, and I want to know what's your North Star?
I I'm laughing because more and more I start to realizing what I said earlier, or like do what you love. And that is actually what I do, no matter it's professionally or personally. That is my North Star. Just follow your heart. And like what you said earlier, is you have to be passionate about working or wake up and going to work. And we all have one life, and you spend 2/3 of your time in working.
Mhm.
Um, so don't waste your time if that doesn't motivate you, and you're not passionate about every day what you're doing. Spend most of your time and with your team, with your people, and with like building the brand, building the business. So that's always what guiding me along, no matter highs or lows. And just listen to yourself. And that is sometimes you can pretend or force yourself to be accepting what that is, or what the work environment it is. But like if it doesn't make you happy, and just think about what make you happy.
Yep, no, I completely agree. All right, so what do people get wrong about you?
Uh,
We
a lot of things. I would say it's, I have, the Jenny at work is the Jenny in my personal life. It's quite different. At work, I'm perfectionist. I have very good visual memory and a very attention to details. So
Mhm.
um and that's me at work. And but like when after work, um and I am pretty clumsy, I have to say. I lost my keys, I cannot find my cars, and I dropped this. And my mom used to say when I was still back in Shanghai, is that looking at how you're doing at home, I can't believe how you can work in the office at all. I'm like, yeah, but my attention to details, possibly I give a lot of attention to what I really care, which is my work. And then when I'm finished my work, I'm just loose. Let's relax and let's have fun. Um, and also I would say I'm a city girl. I've grown up in Shanghai. So everything I'm like, let's be fast, move. I work very fast as well. And people will be like, you're very much personality on the like East Coast girl, like New York. But at the same time, I love beach. And during the weekend, yeah, maybe it's also because I'm getting old, right? So I'm like, I'm sitting on the beach, enjoy the sunshine.
Older, not old, older.
And let's just, go watch a movie, have a nice cup of coffee. So that's kind of that my West Coast side, as well. So it depends on like, which side you see me first. And, if you spend time long enough with me, then you will see both sides. But that's pretty different. And that's why I always believe work hard and play hard. That's
Yeah,
very important.
yeah, I totally get it. And I was completely just agreeing. East Coast, when I first moved to LA, I was just like, why is the line so long when there's two people there? You know what I mean? Like it was just like move, move, move. Because even though I grew up in a suburb, I
Yeah.
was in and then New York. So it was just very, very East Coast. So I was the same way. I was just like I had no patience for like dilly-dallying. It was just like, come on. So, so I completely can relate to that. Okay, so what's your guilty pleasure? So when you are that fun Jenny and you want to not just the beach, like not something maybe where, you grab a, thing of Haagen-Dazs and or, eating it, the whole pint or whatever it may be, like something that or reality show, whatever, something that's just truly just want to do it even with whatever it is.
Yeah. I would say last weekend I just get my guilty pleasure to binge watching the new season of White Lotus. and a Black Mirror. I finished over one weekend of two of my favorite shows, and it's very hard to leave my couch. And that's my guilty pleasure. Like I'm not a so much book person because I'm just like, very visual driven. So TV shows, and it's very much kind of like much easier for me to get into it. But like that's kind of like a very chill weekend, be able to in my couch, grab a glass of wine, binge watching my shows. That is my guilty pleasure for sure.
Yeah, no, I actually just finished White Lotus. What did you think of season three? I'm assuming you watched all three. What did you
Oh
think?
my God. Okay, so not, for people who didn't watch it, I'm not gonna say too much.
Give it away.
I would say it's better than season two. That's how I feel. Better than season two. As side by side with season one still my favorite. And I think second will be season three, and then season two, not so much.
Well, it's funny because I've only watched season three. I
Oh,
skipped first two. I
yeah.
just didn't think I would like it. And then people have just been talking about it so much. I'm like, you know what? And I like the actors in three. So I said, let me watch it. And I
Uh-huh.
it. So now I'm just going to start season one. But everyone said I'm going to like that better. I've seen the first episode, and I mean, I haven't seen much, but I'm got more into three right away. Like that got me right away. So we'll see. But yes, I've been hearing the same. One is the best.
Yeah.
Two is like it kind of back and forth. But so yes, I'm excited to watch the first season now, and then I'm assuming the second one. Okay, so
One is just because when it just started, and that's my first entry, so it can't, it's very much more like memorable than season three. Yeah.
well, maybe since three was my first entry,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. It could be.
All right, we will see. I will let you know.
Someday.
Okay, my last question to you is 10 years from now, what are you going to regret doing too much of?
Doing too much of. I'm may gonna say doing not enough. Um, I should spend more time learning how to swim. Uh, I cannot swim still, not yet. And I just start learning how to play guitar. I'm not spending enough time on it. Um, because work has been busy and I love traveling as well. Just hard to kind of get into it, or spending enough time on it. So that's gonna be like two things. It's on my checklist last year. It's gonna be continue to be on my checklist this year. So I wish I hope, not wish. Wish means it's not gonna happen. So I hope and I wanted to spend more time on it for sure.
Yeah. Well, so maybe it would be not doing too much work, so it prevents you from doing at least these two things that you want to do. So
Yeah.
we can
Yes.
however we want.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, Jenny, we will have to do this again, and you can play the guitar for us. Until then, though, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure talking with you.
All right. Thank you so much. It's a big pleasure, Lisa.
So I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. And please, if you have anyone, female marketer that you want me to pull the curtain back, let me know, and I'll do my best to get her. So thanks again for watching, and thanks, Jenny.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.